Welcome back to Adri's Homestead Life. Today we are making fried cheese and chips with mayo and ketchup, and we're going to have an apple crumble. I found a recipe for salted caramel apple crumble. Sounds amazing. So that gives me a chance to use up some of these lovely apples from our garden. So the recipe asks for 4 apples, but I'll probably double the recipe. So that would be 8 apples, just peeled and sliced, 1/4 inch thick, about 16 slices per apple. So these apples I'm using, they are quite small, so I'm using about 13 apples. And that's the first step. Peel this apple, core it and slice it for about 1/4 inch, and the recipe suggests about 16 slices per apple. After I've done that, I'm probably going to pour some water over all the apples. I'm going to put some lemon or lime juice over to try to retain that color, otherwise our apple will go brown very quick. The cheese we are using today, actually I've been to a Polish shop and I found that cheese was good for frying, so we are going to fry those cheese. I don't know what variety of cheese it is, but I've coated it in, I've already done it, in, flour, egg and breadcrumbs mixture. Egg is from our chickens, still fresh eggs. Breadcrumbs is from mine. I keep my breadcrumbs in a fridge for a while. So if you've got leftover sourdough bread, I just blend it and keep it in a container in a fridge. And I've already cut up some of our homegrown potatoes. I'll put that in an active fry, and I've already got some mayo and ketchup, and that's gonna be our dinner for tonight. Let's get started to make the salted caramel apple crumble. I'm using this recipe, I've just found them on the web. And I'm going to double it. So for the salted caramel sauce, we're going to start with the sauce. We need 2 cups of sugar. I'm using organic unrefined cane sugar. So we need 2 cups of sugar. Okay. I'm slightly gonna change the recipe because I have to deal with what I've got. It asks for 1/2 cup of water and 3/4 cup of heavy cream. I haven't got a heavy cream, so I'm going to miss the water out and I'm going to add milk. So probably that's gonna affect the end result, but that's what I have. So I'm going to add a cup of milk, so instead of the water, and instead of the heavy cream I'm going to add evaporated milk. So it asks for some butter, salt, but I'm not going to use salt because I'm going to use salted butter. I'm going to ask for 2 tablespoons of salted butter, so I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of salted butter. Recipe asks for 1/2 teaspoon sea salt, I'm going to leave that out. Asks for rose water and orange blossom water, 1/2 teaspoon. I have got this Kebra water, that's a rose water, so I'm going to use that. But we're going to add that on the end. So let's get started. So in a medium saucepan, stir together the sugar and the water. So this can now go on a heat. Now I'm going to switch to a whisk. And I'm going to stir this until the sugar dissolves. So in a medium saucepan, stir together the sugar and the water, in my case the sugar and the milk. Place the saucepan on the stove over medium-high heat. Cook without stirring until sugar dissolves. Oh, I've done that wrong. Never mind. I did totally wrong. I am whisking until that sugar melts. So my recipe is gonna be totally different. Let's see what's gonna happen. Then return into the amber brown color of caramel. This will take around 10 minutes. Right, so my recipe is I'm going to stir the sugar with the milk until the sugar dissolves. And I'm going to pour a cup of evaporated milk. I'm going to use all this up. This is 400 grams, so probably it's more than a cup. Let's see. See guys, that's how I follow recipes. So that's gonna be probably 1.5 cups maybe. So now the sugar dissolved. And I'm going to add the evaporated milk. Let's see what's happened. Always experimenting. Can't be bad. Milk, evaporated milk, sugar. It's just probably gonna be runnier. Right. I think I'm not going to add any more. I leave it with a 1 cup of evaporated milk. I'm going to add the butter. It should be about 4 tablespoons. I'll let this melt. This is a salted butter, so we're not going to add the salt. I am so curious what this is gonna taste like. Right, I think our sauce is done. Let's have a taste test. That is salty and sweet. That is delicious. I am happy with that. I'm very happy with that. So that can be off the heat. Next, I'll put. Asks for 2 tablespoons of butter in my cast iron skillet. And soon that butter melts, we're going to add the apple. I would like to weigh that apple. I'm just curious. How many grams is that apple? I think I'm gonna add a bit more butter because I've just remembered I doubled the recipe, so we need 4 tablespoons. It's 228 grams of apple I have. And I'm adding salted butter. So we've got about 4 tablespoons of salted butter. And now we are going to add apple slices and coat it really well with that butter. Let's mix together. So for the apples, 4 tablespoons of butter, 8 apples. We've got about 700 grams of apples in here, and half a teaspoon of cinnamon. So a large skillet over medium heat. Heat 2 tablespoons, in our case 4 tablespoons of butter, until melted. Add the apple slices and cook. Stir in occasionally until apples have slightly softly softened, about 5-7 minutes. It says they don't need to fully soften as they will be baked in the oven. I'll just cook it up for about 5-10 minutes. After apple slices have cooked, sprinkle with cinnamon and half a cup, in our case a cup, of your prepared salted caramel sauce, and stir to thoroughly coat the apples. Okay, right, we are ready to add a cup of our sauce to our apple mixture. Okay, and stir it until it coats those apples really well. I think we are ready to make the crumble. I'm just adding a half a teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm using Ceylon cinnamon. We are ready to make the crumble. So the crumble asks for 2 cups of flour, 2 cups of flour, then asks for 1/3 of a cup of oats. So I'm going to pour a cup of oats, like that. I've got jumbo oats. And next we need, I'm going to pour half a cup of brown sugar, half a cup of white sugar, a good mix. Asks for a teaspoon of cinnamon. We'll put 2 1/2 teaspoons of cinnamon. Okay. Asks for nutmeg, salt and butter. So asks for sticks. We need 200 grams of, I'm using salted butter, and leave the salt out. Apple is looking good. Right, so we've got crumble, 2 2 cups of flour, 1 cup of oats, half a cup of brown sugar, half a cup of white sugar. We need 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, and then next is half a teaspoon of nutmeg, and asks for half a teaspoon of salt, but because we're using salted butter, we leave the salt out, and asks for 2 sticks of butter, but it's about 200 grams. I'm going to mix the crumble together with our fingertips, work that butter in until it resembles like this sandy, very fine looking mixture. I've transferred the apple mixture to this pan, and we're going to put the crumble on the top, and we're going to bake this on medium-high heat for about half an hour. And we're going to serve it with the leftover of the salted caramel sauce, and we're going to make vanilla ice cream with it. While the crumble is going to the oven, I'm going to put the chips to the active fry. It takes half an hour to make lovely chips. So I'm just going to towel dry the chips, the potatoes we cut up, put salt on it, and we can fry the cheese as well. Okay, I think this is looking good. I'm just going to put this over like that. It's gonna be a delicious salted caramel apple crumble with vanilla ice cream. I'm going to make the ice cream next. I like to blend the ice cream ingredients in first. So let's start with a cup of milk, three-quarter of a cup of evaporated milk, a cup of condensed milk. Mix that together, a sprinkle of vanilla, let's scrape the last bits out of this condensed milk. Probably there was another tablespoon in there. Let's use this all up. And just a little bit of vanilla, maybe the 1/8 of a cup. Give it a good mix. And we can pour this to the ice cream maker. Turn it on, and this will be ready in half an hour. Apple crumble is ready. Still sizzling. The ice cream is done. So good. We already tried the salted caramel apple crumble, and it is delicious. The salted caramel apple crumble, it's turned out delicious. There's one thing what I would change next time to get thick cream, double cream, to make that sauce a bit thicker. It is beautiful, but it's a bit too runny doing it with milk. But yeah, anything else, it's delicious. I hope you enjoyed spending some time with me in my kitchen and making the salted caramel apple crumble with me. And see you very soon. Bye friends!